Hey guys, Philosopher here, and today I'm talking about Pestilence, giving you my initial impressions. You know, obviously this character is very powerful. This is the first legendary Horseman. This is the new legendary coming into the game. But I gotta say, this is really unfriendly to players. The release method's unfriendly to players. The team is constructed, it's unfriendly to players. I have good news for you if you are excited about this character in certain respects, but overall I have bad news for you as a player, in my opinion. Okay? So first thing you learn here is there's a new Darkhold team that's coming, which only has one existing character, Scarlet Witch, which most of you have not built up very highly, right? So Morgan Le Fay, who's the new Pestilence character, Scarlet Witch, and then 3 new characters. Read, you got to, time to break out the credit card, is going to be the new Darkhold team. Now, each Horseman's team will specialize in a specific game mode. They don't say a different game mode, so they could repeat. Okay, I'll just say this as a lawyer. They could repeat the game mode, but this one is arena. So what does this tell you? Well, what this tells me is now we are the days in which you could build an arena team and have it compete in arena for a year or 10 months are out the window. It used to be you build Black Order in May of 2020, and that team basically is your arena team for 10 months. Those days are out the window. You build Infinity Watch, it lasts a few months, then Eternals come. Now you got some gold promos. You blew them all on Icarus and Cersei. We got a new arena team for you, okay? So, it looks to me like arena teams don't last long, and that's why I say don't be surprised if the third Horseman or the fourth Horseman is just a new arena team, right? It would not surprise me if they basically, make you unlock a new Horseman to undo, to outdo the team for the old Horseman. But who knows? I certainly wouldn't be surprised if one of the Horsemen is for Raid or the new Cosmic Crucible or something else. Now, another thing to remember about this is presumably you're going to want to use the 4 Horsemen with Apocalypse. So you're going to have to build up this Darkhold team, which is Morgan Le Fay, Scarlet Witch, and then 3 all-new characters to rule arena. And then presumably you're going to take her out of the team and throw her into a new team with Apocalypse, and then you're going to have a 4-person team. I don't know how that's going to work, right? So also seems to be somewhat player unfriendly to me, right? Because presumably they're going to sell you some solution there at some point. All right, I don't really care about the story. Let's just get to the bottom line here. So she's a legendary controller, high health and damage. She punishes controller enemies, okay? So we'll talk about that in a minute, okay? But here I will just tell you now, there's some concerns about this character as we look at it. So first of all, one thing super player unfriendly is, most legendaries, most Horsemen in the comics were mutants. Not all, but many, right? Of course, they make their first Horseman Mystic, right? Why is that? Because we have a crunch on Mystic. The only reason they do this is because you get all the origins, you get gear from all the origins at roughly an equal amount, and you probably have a stockpile of bio and tech or whatever whatever you got laying around, maybe mutant, and everyone's low on Mystic because there's so many good Mystic characters. So they're like, oh yeah, let's just make her Mystic, right? Okay, to crunch it. Wouldn't be shocking if she requires miasma as well, right? Or maybe Oz formula. I'm just kidding. But no, miasma, right? Wouldn't surprise me given the way that Scopely works. All right. The other thing I will just say here, you could see that she's also a Horseman, so this is clearly going to be its own team as well, right? In addition to being legendary, which works in the legendary section, she's going to be a Horseman. So she's going to move to that team eventually. All right, let's go right to her passive here. On spawn, barrier, safeguard to the entire team, fill speed bar per mystic enemy. So this is going to counter. That means it's going to counter your Dormammu. It's going to counter your Eternals, more on that in a minute. On an enemy turn, fill speed bar for the entire team. Okay, that's really, really powerful. That may be her best ability. Whenever the enemy gets a turn, fill the speed bar by by 10% for the entire team. Very, very powerful. Lower the assist stance for all enemies by 25% per Darkhold ally. In other words, 100% lower assist chance. So Infinity Watch is dead. Young Avengers dead. Any team that relies on assists are dead. Then, okay, all this max health, resistance. And then in Arena, you get all this extra max barrier, which is huge. And they say here, barrier's capped at 30% of the character's max health, so it'll be 60% for this team. That's just going to make it super hard to kill this team. All right. Ultimate, turn 1. Clear immunity from the primary target. Who has immunity? Who is that meant to counter? Our friend Dormammu. Now, Dormammu spawns with immunity because he starts with 4 allies with Revive 1, so he gets immunity for 2 turns. This is meant to counter the enemy Dormammu, I would imagine. And I got to say, this is really something. This is why I say it's player unfriendly. How many of you have Dormammu? Like, what, 100 players in the entire game have Dormammu? You know, I will tell you, I've had Dormammu for months now, a couple months now. It's a great character, best character in the game, game-changing right now. But Dormammu will already be power crept by the time you unlock him. That's where this game has gotten. I mean, I have to say, I have never seen something this player unfriendly before in this game. This game is really taking a turn because now we're at a point where it's not just like, okay, look, I put a lot into getting, I was planning for a year and hoarding up war credits, did everything I could to get this character early, and I'm happy I did, but the idea that I am and only a very select few people, I mean, like that you could, less than 100 people got to enjoy this character at its pinnacle before it's already power crept. I don't know. Now, obviously, this character is going to be good for a long time. He's high on my top 10 to invest in list. He is a plug-and-play character because he gives everyone 2 lives. But, man, it is really something that you already have a character that's designed to lock him out of Arena before almost anybody has his character. I mean, to me, that is very player unfriendly. Very player unfriendly, in my opinion. That's just not good for the game. Okay? Not good for the game. Very disappointing, and it's just a kind of par for the course with these guys lately. Just par for the course for Scopely lately, the whole direction of this game. But this is a great ability, right? Clearing immunity. Piercing damage is great. It bypasses armor. Extra crit chance. So maybe she's a great raider. I don't know. Disrupted and slow to the primary target. Awesome. Spreading negative effects from the primary target to all adjacent targets. Trauma and ability block to all controllers. Flipping positive to negative effects on everyone else. And reducing speed bar of all enemies that don't have negative effects by 30%. So get this. Who are the controllers in the game? Who are the controllers in the game? Oh, yeah. Let's see. Characters that you guys have probably invested in, right? Well, I don't know. Omega Red, Dr. Doom, and Cersei. So for most players in this game, they maybe just unlocked Omega Red. I mean, many players or don't have him yet, but a lot of players just unlocked him for the first time, just got him up to 5 stars or whatever. He's already going to be countered. Dr. Doom, for many of you, the character you've probably invested the most in or as much in as any character, right? Carries you through tech part of Doom and so forth. Doom raids, he's countered. Cersei, you probably put your promo credits, your gear, put all your gear on Cersei. She's countered. So, just calling out what this is meant to do. Then Time Warp, going to be, I think, turn 2, I would think. This, to me, is an interesting ability. This is an interesting ability. It actually reminds me of an ability in Galaxy of Heroes, a different game that I play, where basically everybody's speed bar goes down to 0. Now, in that game, then the same character gives speed bar to your team. So you basically, it takes the speed bar away from everyone else and then gives your team a head start. This ability kind of does it by giving speed up to your team. So what it does is puts everyone at 0 and then gives speed up means that you gain speed bar 50% faster. So it's a way of basically, if the other team's faster than yours, you can basically turn down, like just end that turn meter train, that the turns that they're getting, just slow them down with this ability. It's unique, it's powerful, but I will say this is not, one thing I find interesting about this is that it's very situational. In other words, you need to know when to use this. This is not something you're going to auto very well. It's not like it's not clear to me because it reduces your teams as well as the enemies. Now, it does a lot of other great stuff. Clears all positive effects from all enemies. Clears all negative effects from self. Heals self for 100%. Does, max health as damage to all enemies, so on and so forth. But this is the key piece of it. And to me, it's situational, especially since with this ability, you're often going to have more speed bar than the enemy. So if your team is more speed bar than the enemy, you don't want to use that ability. Or often don't. It depends. It's all very situational. It's a very interesting ability. I like it because it requires a lot of thought and strategy. So I love the ability, but it's not clear to me unless there's another character on the team that synergizes with it. In other words, there could be another character in the team that prevents speed bar reduction for your team, or when your speed bar is reduced, you get some bonus or something else. It's an interesting ability on its own, but it's an ability that to me is situational. That's my take on that. And then the basic's really interesting. Steal 10% health from the primary target. This is great for Dark Dimension. And basically, they're making sure with this basic and some of the other stuff here, they're making sure that she's somebody you'll want to bring to the legendary section of Dark Dimension. Okay? Obviously, it's a good character. Obviously, this is a good character. But I will say, to add to why I say this is player unfriendly, for every legendary up until now, you just needed one team of 5 characters to unlock them. Now, you need to have, they say, either Web Warriors or Dark Hunters, but let's get real, because you can't heal your team. If you don't have both Web Warriors and Dark Hunters, you're short, right? In other words, if I'm going to have both Web Warriors and Dark Hunters both, right? I'm going to have 9 characters to use in these game modes to unlock her. If you only have one team, you're going to be at a huge disadvantage. Now, they say here, difficulty 6 and above aren't required to unlock her, but they'll be helpful in ranking her up to higher star counts. Also, as a lawyer, I'm going to tell you, read this carefully. They say difficulty 6 and above aren't required to unlock her, but they don't say when. Do you really think that you're going to be able to run your Gear Tier 13 or Gear Tier 11 Web Warriors and unlock the most powerful legendary in the game? Like, let's just get real here. If you believe that, I've got a bridge to sell you, okay? There is no way in hell that they're going to not require you to be on these leaderboards, trying to, go for these levels that require gear, or that don't require but are recommended to have Gear Tier 15 and 16 characters. It's a leaderboard event, and as I said before in other videos, I'm very skeptical of this event because we've already seen this leaderboard thing is basically going to be, we have to run it over and over, and whoever gets the highest score in this leaderboard is going to get the highest shards of Morgan Le Fay, and we all know where that leads. Now, I will say Cerebro never responded, by the way, to my comments about this, never responded to any of the other content creators or anything that we did about that, but did make a post in Reddit saying the following, and I will post it because I do think it's important. I know this is of significant concern for you guys, and I've been talking with the team at length about this. I'll make a formal announcement A formal announcement closer to the release of the event, but we are going to closely monitor the leaderboard during the event to ensure that it is working properly and be ready to address any problems, issues in real time. Notice they call it an issue. They always call it an issue. They don't call it an exploit. They don't call it cheating. My guess is the problem is Scopely does not want to come out and say that this is cheating, and they're not going to do anything if you are, but they're calling it an issue. So I don't know what this means, but I think the bottom line here is, as far as I can tell, to me this upends everything we already knew about building rosters in this game. Up until now, I was telling people, okay, you're going to invest in Apocalypse, invest in the Eternals. Well, now those teams are all going to be power crept very soon. You're going to have to invest in 2 teams that you don't really need to invest in otherwise. I mean, Dark Hunters is a war team, war offense team. It's a good team, but it's not even the best war offense team. Web Warriors are fine at Gear Tier 14 for raids, but now I guess you're going to have to pump them up for this event. And who knows whether you're going to unlock them. I mean, you don't even know. You could have these huge Web Warriors and Dark Hunters. It's this system here. We don't even know whether you're going to how high you might barely get 5 stars. You might not unlock, or we don't even know what the unlock is. We don't know anything about it. And then you're going to have a team that will rule arena until the best character from the team is removed into a whole new team. I don't know what to make of this other than to say it's obviously unfriendly to players. That's my opinion. And just the whole direction of the game right now is very unfriendly to players, and I don't know what to do about it. I speak up about it, and I'm ignored. I've spent hours talking to developers about my concerns about the game this week, and I have not gotten any commitment or anything that gives me a feeling that things are going to change. I'm just very concerned, and I really don't know what to do about it. I'm sorry to make that a highlight of this video. I generally focus on gameplay. I hope I did give you those insights here, but I think this is such a big shift in this game that I think I would be doing you a disservice by just focusing on this kit and not telling you this game is changing in a way that I did not expect and in a direction I think is bad for this game. All right, guys. I didn't like this, but if you liked the video, smash that like button. Subscribe to this channel. If you got comments or questions, cheers or jeers, you can put them below. If you're angry, sad, happy, mad, put it below or in my Discord. The Discord's linked below as well. My Twitch stream is also linked below too.